There are circuits, there are tracks, and then there is Jerez. The kingdom of fire and redemption, a place where legends are sculpted in millimeters, not meters. A battlefield where history is stained not only in tire rubber, but in the blood of egos and broken dreams. Jerez doesn't forgive, it exposes. And in 2025, it has returned to expose everything. The truth about Marc Marquez, the doubts surrounding Pecco Bagnaia, the ghost of Jorge Martin's title, and the unrelenting weight of factory Ducati's expectations. This weekend wasn't just about speed, it was about legacy, redemption, and identity. Roll the dice. Let's be honest, Ducati made a choice. A ruthless, cold, legacy-defining decision. They chose the 8-time world champion who hadn't touched a championship since 2019. They chose pain, fire, and ambition over familiarity and recent success. They chose Marc Marquez over the reigning champion Jorge Martin. A move that left fans stunned, left Aprilia grinning, and left Pecco Bagnaia in a psychological limbo. Because in 2025, Marc Marquez is not just a rider in Ducati red. He is the rider. 7 wins from 8, 4 sprint victories, a lead in the championship, and the only blemish, a crash at Coda while leading. This isn't adaptation. This is domination. And suddenly, Pecco's grip on Jerez is not guaranteed. If he was still on the GP23, a year ago, if you asked anyone paddock side who would win Jerez 2025, they'd tell you Pecco Bagnaia. No hesitation, no caveats. He was the king of this Andalusian temple. A 3-time winner, untouchable since 2022. Precise, smooth, calculated, everything you want in a Ducati rider. He owned Jerez. But that was before Ducati changed the game, before they chose Marc Marquez over Jorge Martin, before they gave Marquez the full might of Borgo Panigale's GP25. And now? The question isn't who's the favorite. The question is, can anyone stop Marc Marquez? Jerez is no longer safe. Marc Marquez has always been a monster at Jerez. 2014, 2018, 2019. 3 wins, 5 other podiums, and the infamous 2020 crash that nearly ended it all. The irony? The very same circuit that shattered his arm is now the battleground where he could make history. Equal Ducati with Honda's all-time 22 consecutive wins. Deliver Spain its 200th Premier Class victory. Surpass Jorge Lorenzo in all-time podiums. All of that right here. Jerez used to be safe, Pecco's sanctuary. Now it's Marquez's Coliseum. The duel that started it all. Last year, it was different. Marc Marquez came to Jerez on a second-hand Gresini GP23, and he still fought Pecco Bagnaia tooth and nail. Rubber on leather, elbow to elbow, inches away from glory. Pecco won that battle, but it wasn't a win, it was a warning. Because if Marquez could do that on outdated machinery, what happens when he's on equal footing? Now, we know. Now everyone knows. The internal war, Pecco's battle within. Pecco Bagnaia isn't riding badly. Let's be clear. He's still 3rd in the standings. He won at Coda. He podiumed in Lusail despite starting 11th. He's extracting pace. He's managing damage. But damage limitation isn't what you expect from a 2-time world champion. And Pecco knows it. He's not just fighting Marc Marquez. He's fighting expectations, memories, doubts, and himself. Because when he says, "I believe the fight will go to Valencia," what he's really saying is, "I hope I find a way to stop him." Jerez was supposed to be where Pecco struck back. But so far in 2025, Marc Marquez is not just winning. He's doing it in a way that shatters confidence. You'd think with 7 wins and 8 starts, the man would be on cloud 9. No, Marc Marquez remains grounded, focused, relentless. He talks about Jerez as a complicated track. He says his goal is the top 3. He downplays, he disarms. But you know what this is? Predator mentality. The tiger walking in circles before the leap. He hasn't forgotten what Jerez took from him in 2020. But he's not back to make peace. He's back to take everything. Ducati's civil war. Internally, the tension at Ducati is unbearable. This isn't just teammate rivalry. This is a battle for the soul of Ducati's future. Bagnaia has been the face, the company man, the engineer's dream. Marquez is the disruptor, the outsider, the street fighter. Ducati chose the warrior over the scholar, and that choice is paying off. But in the background, you can feel it. Pecco is not going down quietly. Jerez is not just about points, it's about momentum, narrative, and proof that Pecco can still be Ducati's #1. Jorge Martin provides MotoGP comeback update. He admits everything is under control. No, it's not. We all know you are strong, your attitude, your motivation, but this is not the time to prove your loyalty. We have seen Marc Marquez before, hitting the track early after the same Jerez crash in 2020, followed by more surgery, and it was career-threatening. Same here. You made a mistake by participating in Qatar. In fact, the championship hope is actually gone, George. You can try to understand that Aprilia later in the season, but not on track, putting your life at risk. Anything could have happened in that Qatar crash, but somehow you are walking and posting everything is under control. Doctor won't stop you. It's your decision, and you know your body. Some things take time, and you know it better. Think about what happened in your first years at Pramac, remember? And think where you are now. You are the reigning MotoGP world champion. We are expecting Jorge Martin's return, but not half-broken or to prove a point. We want him back to dominate again. Everything is under control when you are under control. Before coming to end, you know, there's something quietly powerful about Johann Zarco's 2025 season. He may not be winning races yet, but in the Honda garage, he's becoming something more valuable, a cornerstone. After years of struggles and a post-Marquez identity crisis, Honda finally has a reason to believe. And that reason is wearing number 5. Zarco's 4th-place finish in Qatar wasn't just another Sunday result. It was Honda's best since Marc Marquez left, and it came from a satellite rider. At LCR, Zarco is doing more than riding. He's rebuilding a legacy. Currently 6th in the World Championship, he's leading the charge for Honda, showing consistency, maturity, and maybe, finally, real momentum. With his contract ending this year and the factory seat potentially opening in 2026, every result counts. And Zarco knows it. But this isn't about riding for a job. It's about riding for a mission. Zarco says it best. It's always good to be the first Honda, but more importantly, to be closer to the top guys. And that's exactly what he's doing, building from the ground up, mistake by mistake, result by result. As he heads to Jerez, there's even more reason for optimism. Honda is finally set to introduce long-awaited updates. Whether they come during the GP weekend or the Monday test, they represent a turning point. Maybe even a chance to close that crucial gap in corner entry performance. A weakness Zarco is already working to understand and overcome. But here's the beauty of it all. Zarco isn't just going faster, he's going deeper. He talks about reconnecting with the feeling he had back in Moto2, that precise, repeatable rhythm of a rider in control. For the first time in a long time, Johann Zarco feels like he's back in sync with the bike, not forcing it, but flowing with it. And maybe, just maybe, that's the secret. Not a miracle fix, not raw aggression, but calm, measured growth. It's always good to be the first Honda. But for Johann Zarco, it's even better to be the one leading Honda into something new.